Story 1. My roommate Weston wasn't human. Before I start, tell me in the comments, would you rather sleep alone in a haunted room or share a room with someone who feels wrong but you can't prove it? Let me know below. And as you type, remember my answer used to be with a roommate. Not anymore. Wait, I don't tell this story in real life. When people ask about my high school years, I talk about grades, sports, teachers I hated, the one time we snuck into town and almost got caught. I never mention the dorm room. I never mention my roommate. And I never, ever say his name out loud. But you're not here in front of me. You're behind a screen. I don't have to see your reaction or watch you slowly stop believing halfway through. Maybe that's why I finally feel like I can get this out. So, I'll start where it really began. At 13, I was dropped off at a boarding school on the edge of the suburbs. You know the type. Red brick buildings, big old trees, stone walkways, everything trying to look academic and important. My parents thought they were giving me a better future. To me, it felt like being abandoned at a very expensive prison. The dorms were in a long rectangular building that always smelled faintly like mop water and old socks. My room was on the second floor. The first time I walked in, my parents behind me, with my duffel bags, it seemed normal enough. 2 beds, 2 desks, 1 tiny closet, a narrow window that looked out onto the parking lot, and a stretch of woods beyond the fence. The other bed was already claimed. There was a neatly folded blanket, a stack of textbooks, and a single perfectly sharpened pencil lined up in the center of the desk. No posters, no photos, no personal stuff, just order. I remember thinking my roommate must be some kind of neat freak. He wasn't there at first. Someone told us he was at orientation or something. My parents helped me put my clothes away, did the whole "we're so proud of you" speech, hugged me a little too long, and then left. The room felt bigger when they were gone. Bigger and emptier. It was maybe 20 minutes later when the door opened again. That's when I met Weston. He was thin, almost fragile looking, with pale skin that made his dark hair look even darker. His expression didn't change when he saw me. No smile, no surprise. It was like he already knew exactly what he'd walk into. "Hey," I said, trying to sound casual. I know," he interrupted, his voice flat. "You're my roommate." There was no hand extended, no "nice to meet you." He set his bag down, adjusted a textbook so it was perfectly aligned with the edge of his desk, and then just sat. I told myself he was just socially awkward, shy. Not everyone is good with new people, right? I wish I had been right. The first week, we barely spoke. We moved around each other politely like strangers in a too small elevator. He went to bed on time, woke up on time, made his bed so tightly you could bounce a coin off it. He didn't play music, didn't put up posters, didn't even have any junk in his drawer. Everything about him felt careful, controlled. And then one afternoon, he walked up to me and handed me a folded piece of paper. He didn't say anything at first, just stood there, arm extended, eyes fixed on me. "What's this?" I asked. "Rules," he said, "for the room." I thought it was some kind of school regulation sheet, maybe a list from the RA, so I opened it. It wasn't from the school, it was in his handwriting, neat, small letters, all caps like someone who never wanted to make a mistake. It said, "Do not bring these into the room. Frogs, snails, leaves, dirt, jars with holes in the lid, shells, bones, salt." There were a few more things scribbled under that, but those were the ones that stuck with me. I remember staring at it, half expecting him to crack a smile and say, "Got you," or "just kidding." But he just watched me, totally serious, like he'd just given me a legal document. "Is this a joke?" I asked. His eyes narrowed slightly. "No, I'm serious." "But frogs?" I couldn't help it. I laughed a little. Why would I bring a frog into the room? He shrugged, but it wasn't a normal shrug. It was too slow, too deliberate. Some people do strange things when they're bored. And salt? You know we can't bring food in here anyway. It's not food, he said quickly. Too quickly. Just don't bring it, okay? Something in his tone made the laughter dry up in my throat. He wasn't teasing. He wasn't being quirky. He was terrified of the idea of salt being in our room. I folded the paper and set it on my desk. Fine, I said. No frogs, no salt, got it. He seemed to relax a little, but only a little, like he'd just won a small battle in a much bigger war I didn't know about. That night I lay awake longer than usual. Every time I closed my eyes, I pictured a frog jumping out of my backpack or a shaker of salt tipping over on the floor and Weston reacting like I'd poured acid on the walls. It should have been just weird. Something to laugh about later with other kids, but the way he'd looked at me, so intense, so serious, it lodged in my brain like a splinter. The real trouble started with the whispering. At first, I thought it was the usual dorm noise, voices drifting through vents, someone talking in the hallway, pipes hissing. But as the nights went by, the sound became more distinct. It was coming from right beside me, from Weston's bed. I'd be half asleep and I'd hear it, a soft, continuous murmur, not loud enough to make out individual words, but low enough to feel wrong in the darkness. One night I turned over slowly, careful not to rustle the blankets. The blinds were open just a crack, letting in a thin, bluish slice of moonlight that cut across the room. It landed right on Weston's bed. He was lying on his side, facing the wall, but his lips were moving. His hands were clenched in front of him like he was holding something invisible, or someone's hands. His eyes were shut, but the way his mouth moved was too purposeful for sleep talking. Not yet. No, can't. You know why? I caught pieces, just enough to make my skin crawl. Weston, I whispered. He didn't react, didn't flinch, just kept whispering. It went on for minutes, his voice barely above a breath, like he was afraid of being overheard by anyone but whoever he was talking to. Eventually, I rolled back over and buried my face in the pillow. I told myself he was just sleep talking. It happens. People say bizarre things in their sleep all the time. But the next morning, he looked fine, rested, focused. He lined his pencil up, opened his textbook, and acted like nothing had happened. So I said nothing, because that's what you do at 13. You convince yourself it's nothing. A few weeks later, I found out about the notebook. It started with a stupid thing. Someone in our hallway had a comic book collection, and another kid bragged that his roommate had a journal of crazy stuff under his bed. That's when I remembered Weston's mattress always looked a little too perfectly placed, like he'd been careful not to disturb whatever was beneath it. The knowledge sat in my head for days, growing, gnawing, eating at my curiosity. I tried to ignore it. I failed. One afternoon, Weston said he was going to the library. He took his backpack, closed the door quietly behind him, and I heard his footsteps fade down the hall. The room felt heavier without him in it, quieter but not safer. I stood in the middle of the floor for a full 30 seconds, debating with myself. Don't do it. You'll regret it. What if he comes back? What if it's nothing? Then I walked to his bed anyway. I knelt down and slid my hand between the mattress and the wooden frame. At first, I felt nothing but the rough fabric and the cold metal bars. Then my fingers brushed paper. Thin, smooth, slightly worn at the edges. I pulled it out. It was a small notebook with a black cover, the cheap kind you get in bulk for school. No name on the front, no stickers, no doodles. Completely blank on the outside. The inside was different. Most of the pages were empty, but some of the earliest ones were filled. Not with drawings, not with paragraphs, but with names. Just names. First and last, written in the same neat, careful handwriting I'd seen on the no frogs, no salt list. Some names had a single line through them. Not messy scribbles, not angry crossouts, just marked. I flipped through, heart thudding harder with every page. Some of the names I recognized. Kids from our floor, people from my math class, a guy from the soccer team, a girl I'd seen in the cafeteria. Each time I recognized one, my palms got a little sweatier. And then I saw my own. There it was, my full name, written like all the others, but not crossed out. For a second, I forgot how to breathe. I stared at it, willing it to vanish, to morph into someone else's name, to prove to me that I had misread it. But it stayed there, black ink on white paper, more solid than anything else in the room. Why would my name be in my roommate's secret notebook? Why any of these names? The crossed out ones bothered me almost as much as the uncrossed. What did it mean? Had they moved away, graduated, broken some rule? Or I snapped the notebook shut. Suddenly the air in the room felt wrong, too tight, too close, like the walls were listening. My hands were shaking as I slid the notebook back under his mattress, carefully lining it up exactly how it had been before. I checked it twice, 3 times, like I was disarming a bomb and one wrong move would set it off. Then I sat on my own bed and stared at the wall, keeping track of kids he didn't like. Maybe the line through the names meant he was over it or something. But my stomach didn't believe that. My stomach believed something else. Story 2. Something lived in my grandparents' farmhouse. Before I tell you this, I want you to answer something in the comments. Would you rather spend the night alone in an attic or alone in the woods behind an old farmhouse? Type attic or woods below. Just remember, I thought the attic was safer. I was wrong. Some places don't just feel old, they feel remembered. My grandparents' farm in Pennsylvania was one of those places. They had about 40 acres of land. If you heard farm, you'd probably picture wide open fields, animals, tractors, but that wasn't their place. Their house was surrounded mostly by woods, tall, packed trees that pressed in from every side like a dark crowd. The dirt road we turned onto every summer was always the same, bumpy, narrow, hugging the side of a hill before finally opening into a clearing where the farmhouse sat like an island in a sea of green. From the outside, the house looked normal enough. 2 stories, white paint peeled in some places, a wraparound porch that creaked in all the right spots. But there was a 3rd floor too, not obvious at first glance, a slanted roofline, a few small windows near the top, as that was the attic. That was where I slept. I was sent there every summer for 2 weeks. It became a kind of routine in our family. I always went the first 2 weeks of July. My cousin Francisco always went the last 2 weeks of August. Our parents said it was to give our grandparents a break between grandkids. At the time, that made sense. Now a darker thought crosses my mind. Maybe it wasn't about giving my grandparents a break. Maybe it was about giving whatever else was in that house time to reset. The first year I went, everything was almost magical. I was younger then, the kind of kid who thought old couches felt like time machines and dusty bookshelves felt like treasure troves. My grandparents smelled like coffee and detergent, and the whole house smelled faintly of baked bread, wood polish, and something else I could never pinpoint. Not bad, just old. The attic room used to be my dad's when he was a kid. They told me that proudly, as if that made the creaks and shadows less creepy somehow. The staircase up to the attic was narrow and steep, tucked behind a door at the end of the 2nd floor hallway. The first time I climbed it, the air shifted. You know that strange change in temperature and smell when you enter a different part of an old building? That. The attic door opened onto a long, low room with a sharply slanted ceiling on both sides, like a triangle. Most of it was unfinished storage, boxes, old furniture, suitcases, a dusty rocking horse with one eye missing. But at the far end was a finished room. A small rectangle of normal plaster walls and wooden floor, like someone had carved out a piece of regular house and tucked it inside the attic. That was my room. There was a narrow bed under the slanted ceiling, a small wooden dresser, and a single window facing the back of the property. Through it, you could see the yard, the line of trees, and beyond that, nothing but woods. At first, I loved that window. I would kneel on the bed, press my forehead to the glass, and just stare out. In the daytime, it looked peaceful, almost infinite. At night, it looked like a black wall. My grandparents went to bed early. Always. By 9 p.m., the house was silent. They would say goodnight, climb the stairs slowly, and disappear into their room on the second floor. My parents had made it clear before dropping me off. It's rude to stay up later than your grandparents. Go to bed when they do. No TV, no creeping around the house at night. Okay? Okay, I'd said. I lied, not on purpose. At first, I tried to sleep early, but the attic was so quiet and so unfamiliar that my eyes just refused to close, so I started faking it. I'd wait for the door to creak open around 9 p.m. My grandma would poke her head in, her grey hair pulled back, wearing a pink robe. "Good night, sweetheart," she'd say. "Good night, Grandma." I'd keep my eyes closed until I heard her footsteps fade down the stairs. Then I'd reach under my pillow, pull out my flashlight or Game Boy, and stay up for hours. The tiny cone of light from the flashlight turned the room into my own private world. I'd read or play until the batteries ran low, or just stare up at the angled ceiling and trace cracks that looked like constellations. The first summer passed like that. No footsteps in the dark, no whispers, no shadows at the foot of my bed, just boredom, late-night reading, and the occasional creak of the old house settling. Looking back, I think that first summer was the house, watching me, getting used to me. The second summer was different. The footsteps on the stairs. I was a little older that second year, a little more confident in the routine. The first several days went smoothly. We ate breakfast at the same wobbly kitchen table. My grandpa took me out to the edge of the woods and pointed out animal tracks. My grandma showed me how to bake pie crusts from scratch, even though I mostly just made a mess with the flour. Then, about 3 nights into the trip, I was in bed with my flashlight and a book when I heard it. Soft, deliberate footsteps on the attic stairs. Not the wind, not the house settling, not pipes, actual careful steps, one after another, slow, as if whoever it was didn't want to be heard. My heart stuttered. I clicked the flashlight off instantly, my room plunging into darkness. The only light came from the faint glow of the moon through the window. I stared at the crack under my bedroom door. The footsteps reached the top of the stairs and paused. The doorknob turned, not a full twist, not a casual turn, just enough. It rotated with a soft metal click and the door eased open maybe 6 inches, just enough for someone to peek in. I squeezed my eyes shut, pretending to be asleep. I had this clear mental picture of my grandma's face peeking in, catching me awake, lecturing me about rest and respect. But no light came in from the hallway. No voice whispered my name. No footsteps crossed the threshold. Nothing. Silence pressed against my ears. I waited for the sound of retreating steps, for the door to click shut again, for anything. Eventually, my eyes burned from holding them shut, but I didn't dare look. My last clear thought before sleep finally dragged me under was, she's still standing there, she's still watching. The next morning at breakfast, I tried to be casual. "Grandma, did you come upstairs last night?" I asked. "To check on me?" She frowned, looking genuinely confused. "No, honey, I was in bed all night. Why?" I thought I heard someone on the stairs." My grandpa chuckled. "The old house," he said, taking a sip of coffee. "They make noises when the weather changes. Creaks, pops, steps. Raccoons get in the walls sometimes too. Don't let it scare you." Raccoons didn't turn doorknobs, and they definitely didn't pause outside your bedroom like they were listening. But I didn't say that. I just nodded, pretending to accept his answer, and changed the subject. Adults like their explanations, even when they're wrong. Someone at the foot of my bed. A few nights later, it escalated. I don't remember falling asleep that night. I only remember the moment my consciousness snapped into place. My bed was shaking. It wasn't dramatic, like a movie. The mattress didn't bounce violently. It was a subtle, rhythmic vibration, like someone had a hand on the footboard and was nudging it to wake me. I opened my eyes. Someone was standing at the foot of my bed. A human-shaped silhouette in the dark. Taller than my grandma, narrower than my grandpa. I couldn't see a face, just the outline of a head and shoulders, the suggestion of arms. They weren't moving, they were just there. My mouth went dry. My fingers clutched the blanket. "Grandma," I whispered. No answer. "Grandpa?" Still nothing. The shape didn't move, didn't tilt its head, didn't step forward, just stood there. The longer it stayed, the more wrong it felt. I slammed my eyes shut, heart pounding, and started counting in my head. 1, 2, 3, 10, 20, 50! My chest felt tight. My skin prickled all over as the seconds dragged on. When I reached 100, I forced myself to look. The foot of the bed was empty, but the closet door, which I knew without question had been closed when I went to sleep, was now standing wide open. A thin, grey line of darkness yawned behind it. I didn't sleep again that night. No one believes the quiet kid. The next morning, I tried again. "Grandpa," I said, while he was buttering his toast, "can the doors up there open by themselves?" He looked up. "You mean the attic doors?" "Yeah, I think my closet door opened on its own last night." He chewed slowly, considering. "Might be a draft," he said. "Those hinges are older than me. Sometimes they drift open. Don't worry yourself over it. You're safe here." He said it kindly. He really believed it. But I didn't feel safe. Later, I told my mom on the phone. I described the footsteps, the half-open door, the figure at the foot of my bed, the open closet in the morning. She laughed gently. "You've always had an active imagination," she said. "Old houses are creepy. They make you see things. Don't be rude to Grandma and Grandpa by acting scared of their home. Francisco never complained when he stayed there, and he's younger than you." That stung. I hung up feeling stupid, embarrassed, like I'd done something wrong by being afraid. So I stopped talking about it. I kept the fear to myself, and the house seemed to like that. The pattern. Over the next week and a half, little things kept happening. Sometimes I'd wake up with my blanket folded down neatly, like someone had adjusted it while I slept. Story 3. The girl in the yellow sweater. The night my dad brushed it off as just a nightmare, something in me broke a little. Kids always get that line. Just a dream, just your imagination. But there are some things you know you didn't imagine. The way her breath fogged up the glass. The way her lips formed helped me over and over. The way that dark stain on her sweater spread like something wet. I didn't sleep much after that. The next afternoon, when 3:30 rolled around, I was at the window early. I watched the opposite house like a hawk, heart pounding, waiting for the tiniest movement behind that glass. Nothing. 3:31, 3:35, 3:40. The window stayed empty. Too empty. It didn't feel like I was alone. It felt like someone was hiding. The longer I stared, the more frustrated I got. I needed answers. If my parents wouldn't listen, maybe someone else would. So I did something I'd never done before. I left my room, went outside, and went looking for the house behind us. Mrs. Murphy, their backyard was neat. Too neat. Trimmed bushes, flower beds, and a tidy little garden where an older woman was watering rows of plants. Mrs. Murphy. Her grey hair was tied back. She wore a faded blue shirt and old gardening gloves. She looked completely ordinary, completely harmless. I climbed our back fence and peeked over. "Hi," I called. She turned, startled at first, then smiled warmly when she saw I was just some kid. "Well, hello there," she said. "You must be from the house in front of us?" I nodded. "Yeah, I told her my name. Do you have a granddaughter?" The smile faded. Not slowly, not politely. It dropped off her face like someone had cut a string. "No," she said carefully. "Why do you ask?" I swallowed. "Because there's a girl in that third-floor room. I see her from my window. She wears a yellow sweater. We play games sometimes, through the glass." Mrs. Murphy just stared at me. Her eyes didn't move. They didn't soften. They didn't blink. "How long?" she asked quietly. "Have you been seeing her?" Her voice is what scared me. It wasn't annoyed. It wasn't indulgent like my mum's. It was tight, controlled, like she already knew the answer and was praying she was wrong. "A few weeks," I said. "She's always there at 3:30 when I get home from school. But lately, she's been there at night too, and she looked scared. She kept mouthing, 'Help me,' and I stopped." The words felt too heavy all of a sudden. Mrs. Murphy set the watering can down very carefully. Her hands were shaking. "That's enough," she said. I flinched. "I didn't do anything wrong, You need to go back home now." Her tone was sharp, but not angry. Scared. I tried again. "I just wanted to know who she is. I thought maybe go home." She walked a few steps closer to the fence, voice low. "Go inside. Tell your mother I'll call her." I'd expected to be scolded, not dismissed like that. Not shut down. I climbed back into my yard, cheeks burning with confusion and embarrassment. When I turned back, Mrs. Murphy was still watching me, eyes fixed on me like I'd just confessed something terrible. Like I'd walked into a room I wasn't supposed to know existed. The curtains. That same evening, things changed fast. My parents didn't ask me what I'd told Mrs. Murphy. They didn't ask if I'd gone over there. They already knew. My mum came into my room right before sunset, carrying something heavy, a folded bundle of dark fabric. "We're going to rearrange your room a bit," she said. "Why?" I asked. "For better sleep. You've been waking up at night. You told us you've been having dreams." Her voice wobbled slightly on that last word. My dad came in behind her and started moving my bed, away from the window, against the opposite wall. The new arrangement meant that if I lay in bed, I couldn't see the other house anymore unless I physically got up and walked to the window. Then they took the bundle of fabric and started hanging it. Not like curtains, not the flimsy ones I used to have. These were thick, heavy blackout curtains, the kind you see in hotels, the kind that swallows light instead of letting it through. They stretched them across my window, covering every inch of glass. Once they were up, my room felt smaller, darker, cut off. "Why are you doing this?" I asked, panic rising. "I can't see outside now." "That's the point," my mum said softly. "You'll sleep better, less distraction." "But what about the girl?" I blurted. "She'll think I'm ignoring her." My mum froze. My dad turned sharply. "What girl?" "The girl in the yellow sweater, the one in the other window, you know, the one I told you about that night when—" "Honey," my mom interrupted, "we've talked about this. There is no girl. You're too old for imaginary friends." "She's not imaginary," I snapped. "She talks with me and she drew things and she—" "Enough," my dad said, in a tone I almost never heard from him, final, shaken. "No more talking about the girl in the window. Do you understand?" My eyes stung. "But no more," he repeated. They left after that, leaving me with a blocked window and a feeling I now recognize from being an adult. They didn't just want to protect me, they were afraid too. Silenced, I wasn't allowed to talk about her anymore. That was the rule, so I did what kids do when adults shut them down. I stopped talking, but I did not stop feeling her. Even with the curtains drawn, I could tell when she was there. You know that strange awareness you get when someone is staring at you, even from behind? I'd be doing homework or lying in bed, and suddenly I'd feel it. A tension, not from my door, not from the hallway, from the window, from the other house. Sometimes I'd swear I heard the faintest tap beneath the muffled fabric, not loud enough to be sure, just enough to tighten every muscle in my body. Tap, tap, tap. Some nights, when my parents were asleep, I slipped quietly out of bed and stood in front of the window. I'd reach up, trembling, and pinch the heavy curtain fabric between my fingers. If I pulled it aside, just an inch, I could see out. I never did. Not after that second night. I had this overwhelming feeling that if I looked again at the wrong time, it wouldn't just be her staring back. It would be whatever she was trying to warn me about. We moved about a year later. We moved away. New house, new school, new everything. I remember looking back at our old street one last time as we drove off. I didn't look at the window. I didn't want to know whether she was there. Life went on. I got older, busier, heavier with homework and real-world worries. The girl in the yellow sweater faded into that mental box we label weird kid stuff and shove into a dusty corner of the mind. But she never went away completely. Sometimes I'd see flashes of yellow in a passing window, and my stomach would drop. Sometimes I'd wake up convinced someone had been tapping on my window again, only to realize I lived on the ground floor now, with curtains open to an empty backyard. I told myself it was over. I was wrong. The truth, years later. I was in high school when my mum finally told me. We were driving back from the store, just the two of us. It was raining lightly. The kind of grey day that makes the world feel softer than it is. She was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that means someone is working up the courage to say something big. "Do you remember," she started slowly, "when you were little, and you used to talk about a girl in the window behind our old house?" Instant knot in my stomach. "Yeah," I said carefully. She took a breath. "I never told you what Mrs. Murphy told me. I thought it would scare you too much, but you're older now, and I don't like the idea of you thinking we didn't believe you." My hands felt suddenly cold. I didn't say anything. I just stared at the windshield. She continued. "Before the Murphys moved in, a different family lived there. They had a daughter. Her name was Jenna." The name felt wrong in my ears. It fit too well. "She was 11, my mom said. One day she was walking home from school. She crossed the street in front of their house and a car didn't see her in time. My throat went dry. She died right there, my mom said softly, in front of the house. The driver tried to help, but it was too late. It happened just after school, 3:30. She was wearing a yellow sweater, my mom added quietly. I stared at her. I didn't realize I'd been gripping the seatbelt so hard until my fingers ached. The family moved out not long after, she said, and they couldn't stand to live there anymore. The Murphys bought the house years later. They used that third-floor room for storage at first, sealed it off. My voice came out barely audible. Then, how did I see her? My mum swallowed. That's what scared Mrs. Murphy so much. She said no one had been able to open that door in years. It had hair, the yellow sweater, the time of day. 3:30. Always 3:30. Like she'd never left that moment on the street. What did Mrs. Murphy say? I whispered. She said she didn't want you looking at that window anymore, my mom said. She told me to block it, to stop you from connecting with her. My mum nodded. She thought the girl might be lonely, attached to that time, that window, those days after school. She was worried the more you engaged with her, the more connected you'd become, like a thread going both ways. I pictured myself, 9 years old, laughing at her drawings, waving, waiting for her every day, opening my window to try to talk, watching her at night as she mouthed, "Help me with that stain," spreading across her sweater. A thread going both ways. It made my skin crawl. Adulthood. I'm 34 now. Hope you enjoy. Follow for next part.